So listen, I want to yap about all the things, but I gotta introduce you first so that everybody knows who I'm talking to, and then I'm gonna ask you 1.5 million questions.
Wonderful. I would expect nothing less.
I also just shout out to Amy Vazzetti and Casey Hicks who replied to your like thing on Instagram. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yes, of
All of our
course.
friends very excited for the yes
Yes.
fest that's about to happen. And also, I've known you for 1.5 million years, so your intro is longer than everybody else's, and that's fine. So, today's guest is my friend Jill. When I say friend, I mean the friend I've known literally the longest. Jill and I met when my family still lived in Columbus, Indiana. Before I moved to Pittsburgh when I was 7, our lives overlapped early and often. Church camps, summer camps, mission trips, travel adventures, even old school snail mail pen pals that eventually evolved into email. And yes, our siblings dated, which just feels important to name for historical accuracy. We both ended up at Geneva College, where Jill studied accounting and graduated magna cum laude. Bless her, I did not. Today, she's a CPA and Senior Manager in tax with more than 15 years of experience working with corporations, partnerships, nonprofits, and individuals. She's the kind of person people trust with the complicated, high stakes parts of their work and their lives, cash flow, planning, compliance, and the stuff that actually keeps things standing. But long before any title or credential, Jill has always been someone who shows up steady, thoughtful, and grounded, somehow through graduation, wedding, career changes, motherhood, sorrows, and triumphs, we've stayed connected. Our relationship has grown and shifted over time, but it's never disappeared. And the story of connectedness, shared experience is everything, and I'm deeply grateful for the many chapters Jill and I have shared. I commuted to college for 2 years, which means I spent a lot of time in Jill's room, studying and just being. Those ordinary moments shaped me more than I probably realized at the time. So Jill, CPA, Senior Manager, lifelong friend, one of the most quietly competent people I know, and also not always quiet. Thank you for being here. It's really good to see your face.
It is wonderful to see you too.
Go
I
team.
have been
Okay.
looking forward to this, and I love all of the prompts that you have on Instagram. They always get me thinking about different facets of professional and personal life.
I just think that maybe social media can be better than we let it be. And like,
I think that there is a positive. I think that you have to curate it in such a way that you're not expecting social media to be reality in every situation. And also, you're not letting it rule your life and make the decisions for you.
those are like really important caveats to the whole process, I would say. And like, I remember being so grateful for a friend in Pittsburgh whose name was Jamie Sherrill, who used to say, like, I saw something on Instagram and it upset me. I'm like, that is a me problem. So like, do I need to change what I see? Do I need to change how much I'm there? Like, that is our responsibility. We're responsible for what we consume. And we're also responsible for the places we choose to inhabit. I just think, and like, you know, a lot of people and you've moved too. So for me, there's not a place on earth that all of my people are.
Mhm.
The place all of my people or more of my people are is virtual. And so I'm going to choose to be there. And if I'm going to choose to be there, let's make it a reasonable experience. So today we're talking about mentorship and lots of other things. But um, when you hear the word mentorship, what comes to mind for you personally and professionally?
Wow. So, personally, like thinking about mentorship, I know when I responded to your prompt, I was thinking professionally, um, in particular. But then looking back and thinking about mentorship as a whole, there have been so many people who have graciously poured into my life, both personally and professionally. And I realize with the more and more people I interact with, I am very unique in having so many lifelong crossover friendships, despite the moves, despite whatever. Hi, Puppy.
Everybody's
Um,
very excited to see you.
yes. Um, so I really am grateful for that. I also think mentorship is a lot of what you make of it and making yourself be willing to be vulnerable. I think that that's why mentorship has been so impactful in my own life.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like when you think about willingness to show up or be vulnerable, Can you give me like a tangible example? And it doesn't have to be specific, but like what is a reminder you've given yourself, or how have you been like, yeah, this is okay, even though it is hard or awkward or uncomfortable?
Well, I think of the relationship I was talking about. So I have been so fortunate. I've had an amazing mentor in my career at Blue. And not from the very jump of my career, but for the last 10 years, well, at least 8 years. Because I was this particular meeting, I had just had my oldest child, and it was not the first meeting with my mentor. And her name's Sarah. She's amazing. Um, but we had this check-in scheduled, and she just happened to be in my office that day. And so she popped her head in and was like, "Hey, Jill, I'm looking forward to meeting." And I just had the worst day and completely rug pulled out from under me. Had my first staff that like reported to me quit and like hand in her 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
First experience with this.
First one that was like coming to me with their 2 weeks notice and like, okay, I'm leaving you. Like felt like, wow, I'm quitting you as the boss.
Yep.
And that's a really emotional thing and like much harder than I anticipated beforehand. And looking back, like, wow, that was really hard. And this particular individual, think the world of her, from what I've seen, and she has been so sweet to email several times to check in. She left accounting completely as a career. Like she is doing amazing things as a nurse, and
that's amazing.
Totally shifted, like was just like, this is not for me, but like quit in January, the end of January. So it was just like a really hard personal thing. Like someone's quitting you right as you're going into your busy time. So just a lot of emotions. Mm-hmm. And so it just so happened that Sarah was literally in my office that day. And I was just like, wow, I just don't even know. And she was just appropriately vulnerable with me about her first experience with with someone quitting her. And like, this is how you move on. This is how you take the lessons, and you are not perfect as a boss, but you're also not the world's worst boss either. And not everyone is quitting you. And there are like, this isn't just you that this person's quitting. Like it was just very helpful to walk through that with someone. And I think that really forged a deeper connection to our mentorship.
Yeah. Because I feel like I think you even mentioned like this is after the birth of your first child. This is heading into busy season. This is kind of a first of this kind of like you were clearly in a vulnerable place. You were like, hey, everything's great. Can't wait to see you later. Yes. No, hi, things are not great.
Yes. And just like figuring out which balls to drop with juggling that. Like, how do I communicate this to the rest of my team without being like overly dramatic and discouraging? Like, how do I hear what this person has said and help them have as positive of a final 2 weeks experience for us to both round this out in a healthy way? All of the things.
I feel like in one of the conversations I had a couple weeks ago, my friend Annie talked about this being called showing your work. And I thought it was so helpful because regularly I think about like, a mentor has been somewhere where they've been there before, like they've experienced this before. And like that gives this connotation of like, I'm going to tell you how to do this. I'm going to give you it's not even necessarily how. It's like, there is a way to do this. I've done it. I can show my work on how I've done this. Like, I didn't just say this. I felt this, thought about this, planned this, communicated this. They showed their, like, for me, I don't know, showing their work feels much more tangible versus like I've been here before. It always seems like preachy, I guess.
Well, and I feel like mentorship is really helpful for people that are like there, but also are like removed. Like this was not my direct boss that I was going to, that maybe sees different things. This is someone who's within the organization, knows generally what I do, interacts with me on a regular basis, but not like daily regular and not in my same office. They have a little bit different perspective. I don't know all of the things with their life as much as I would like someone in the office. But I think that's also, yes, I've had a very positive experience like that at my current employer. But my first employer in Pittsburgh, I also remember feeling like, so what are the goals? How do I network as a staff? Like, who's going to listen to 22-year-old Jill and think that Jill has anything? And so I actually asked a senior manager who was not on my team. I was like, Megan, can you help me understand what does networking look like at the staff level? And she took me to Max and Irma's. Don't even know if that's still around or not, but
Love it. I love it.
Right downtown. We went to Max and Irma's, and she talked to me, and she was just like, we're not expecting you to go out and sell like $100,000 engagements. Like, we're not expecting you to be the person that like financial planners are calling. We're expecting you to be friends with people who are your age and network with people your age, because you're all going to progress in your career. I'm friends with the people my age. We're not asking you to be something you're not. And that was really impactful.
Like, first of all, shout out to Megan and Max and Irma's. Because and you for asking, because I feel like so often, right, like I am so kind of irritated by how much a lot of this conversation really shifts to like, hey, are you 22? How can we help? Because like why isn't that just something that you're told at baseline? And like, congrats on asking, Megan. Thank you, Megan, for having the right answers. But like, to think that any of us knew that, and we had competent professors, like we grew up in competent families. Like, none of this is really foreign. And at the same time, like I remember like, so like LinkedIn, like I have to do this, like I have to do LinkedIn, how to do LinkedIn. Like, this is clearly not Facebook, but we're supposed to be like engaging in some way. And like, what does that look like? And how are we supposed to do that? And I think even innately what Megan said that I so much appreciate is understanding that no one is static. Like your friends are going to grow in their careers also, and that is going to be advantageous to you. Megan was a genius. Good job, Megan.
Yeah. Yes.
So hold on. Do you still talk to, are there people who've served in like mentoring kind of roles with you that you are still in communication with, even remotely or like sporadically?
Yeah, I actually sporadically still reach out to several of the people that I worked with in Pittsburgh, even though I've been in Indy now going on 13 years. But yeah, impacted my career. I don't have any bad thoughts towards that firm or anyone there. It was a great experience. I learned so much.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you've talked a little bit about having a mentor. Can you describe how that relationship like actually works, what it really looks like for you, and maybe in the span of a year necessarily, but like how often do you get together? What kinds of things do you talk about? Kind of like how that works.
So initially we were getting together about quarterly, and then now I don't really need that as much. I kind of try to touch base with Sarah once, maybe twice a year. We're both busy professionals. And I really am purposeful about the time, because I know, I mean, she is like my hero. I think that she should, be award in public accounting. She is an amazing mom. Her kids are now in college. She made it. She started at our firm as an intern, and then now is she was the first female head of our executive committee. then she now is our director of tax for the whole firm. She's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with her too. Okay. You pick winners. I love it. I love this about you.
So, I try to really value her time because she has a lot of demands on her time. So I send her a list of questions like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'd love to hear your experience or what your perspective is on this. And I really appreciate, I have given some critiques over my career, and she has been very gracious in receiving them and like helped me, see the forest while I'm in front of this tree. That's just all I can actually see. And I really appreciate the perspective and the patience and the grace with which she has communicated.
You just used a word that is like my current fixation, which is perspective. Because I think like our perspective is informed, it's educated, it might be diverse, but it is singular. And that one of the things a mentor allows you to do in any context, no matter who that mentor is to see it from a different perspective. And that like, even if someone's, let's even say like, let's remove your perfect mentors from the conversation. And let's say maybe they are not a perfect mentor, but there's still a different perspective. And that in and of itself is so valuable, because I think so often it's easy to say, I'm in this position, I know all the things, I know what I need to do, or I'm absolutely right about this. Maybe not.
We wouldn't ever say that. I do hear that other people sometimes feel that way, but I know that you are, and I never.
Has never been me. Could be someone somewhere might be foolish enough to think they know all the things. And like, I just think, especially when you can pick someone who you respect, who is out in front of you, like there is a requisite humility to like, I'm telling you I'm not a peer.
Mm-hmm.
And like, again, couldn't be me, but maybe even a lack of pride can be a barrier to a mentor, because I'm at baseline saying, you know more than me, you've done more than me, can you help? And so I think there is just like that is one of the things in vulnerability. If you maybe are as prone to pride as maybe I am admitting that I am, even admitting that someone might know more than you can be a hang up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I will say, like, for me, initially with both Megan and Sarah, I really pigeonholed what I was asking for.
Okay.
Like with Sarah, I was like, okay, you're a tax director who is a mom who loves her kids, and I want to emulate that. Like, I did not grow up like my family of origin did not have a mother who worked outside the home. How does this work? And how am I successful here and successful here?
Yep.
And what does that look like? And so I very much was like, this is what I'm asking about. And then I, through the am like, no, I actually want all of this.
But I think like I would use that as a great example of like, if you're going to ask someone to be your mentor, you have to make the ask. What are you asking for? If you're asking for no holds bar, full access to somebody who you've already acknowledged is excelling, busy, great at their work, that's a hard thing to say yes to, because that feels like I don't know what that's going to look like. And so I do feel like the pigeonhole open is like helpful, because it's like, this is what I'm asking about. And as the relationship grows, the communication can grow. That's great. But I think a little bit like a question I would ask about that is, did you put markers on time? Like, would you give me a meeting this much time? Like, how did you kind of broach that part of the conversation?
Yeah, so we agreed that I was going to be in the driver's seat and that she was not going to reach out to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of managing the relationship. And so like if she came into the office and I was here, she would just walk by me. She wouldn't even say hi. I'm totally joking. Like but if there was like anything beyond just like a hey, how's it going? It was me initiating. Like, when can I get on your calendar for a lunch? When can we meet to do this? And I always tried to have my questions ahead of time, because if not, I could visit with her easily for the whole lunch.
Right.
And just talk about, frustrations with the IRS. I could talk on that for days.
I love it. Thank you. Yes.
But because we're in the same line of work, there are lots of things I could talk about, but like keeping kind of the blinders on of focus of like, okay, this is why I'm approaching you this time. This is what I want to hear. And not what I want to hear. This is what I'm looking for advice on. This is what I'm wanting to hear your perspective on.
Well, I think, like, first of all, I'm 0% surprised that every single thing you were saying is its own, like, topic of conversation. But I do think there is, like, the wisdom and insight here is saying, who's in charge? Like, are you going to text me constantly? Or is there confusion about who is scheduling what? Is there going to be some expectation that remains unmet from either party? Like, these are things that can slow you down or kind of destroy this function before it gets off the ground. I would also talk about you preparing questions. Like, if my head is somewhere else going a million miles a minute, I might not have thought about this thing recently. Or like, let me do some thoughts coming into this lunch. I can give you the most valuable answer. Like, how can we spend our time well? And I do think there is this, like, there needs to be this understanding that if you're asking for someone's time, they're busy. And if they're busy, your job as the mentee is to help make this as easy as possible. I'm going to get real in the weeds. Like, how many questions would you send?
Let me pull up a calendar invite.
I'd love that. Thank you.
I was like sure I knew when I went down there last.
It's all a ruse.
I know, right?
Things that are entirely out of alignment with Jill's personality. Making up this story.
Yes, this is true. Okay. It was a day that Kylie was at our house. So it would have been a Wednesday or a Friday. Mm-hmm. I'm like completely not seeing the last one. I would say 5-ish questions.
Okay. And is this like a lunch meeting, or are you like in an office?
A lunch meeting.
Okay. I think the other thing that I like about multiple questions provided is, like, once you've gotten a question answered, you can move on to the next one. It helps create, like, you're using the time really well, where if I'm thinking of questions in real time, I'm likely to answer it and then want to come back to it and come back to it and come back to it, or I just get stuck on one thing. And I just come back to people who use their time really well. And helping a mentor know they're using their time well is always going to make saying yes to anything easier.
Yeah, it looks like 3 to 5 questions.
Okay.
So.
And you already said, so one of the things that you said is that the nature of your relationship has changed since the beginning. Can you give me an example of what that feels like in reality?
Well, my goals have changed. I'm not the same person I was 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I now have 30 children. Just five. But
like, I think there is this reality, like, I think at this point, like, you love your kids, you do your job well. And like at baseline, if that's an origin question, like, hey, I similarly did not grow up in a family where women worked professionally outside the home. So like there's an immediate panic of like, am I a good mom and a good employee? Where that might loom really large. Like I vividly remember when I first went back to work after having Evelyn, like my pictures was really, really important to me. Like, look at my baby. I'm a mom. My child is 13 and so sick of me. That is not so much a thing that like occupies my professional thought anymore. So I think that's a very legitimate example. And I think like also, because I'm fixated on this right now, the nature of your work has inevitably changed. There are functions that are different to your job where you have different questions. You're confident in this. Now my question is about this up here.
Well, and truthfully, like, so when I had my oldest, I went down to part-time and my firm really worked with me. I was working a reduced schedule. Then about 3 years later, my husband and I determined that he was going to be the primary person at home and he was going to stay home with our kids. So I shifted and went back to work full time. So like during this time in my own professional career, I'm like thinking, okay, this is my goal. This is my goal. Now this is my goal. Now that like, so it's definitely not a static situation. My path has changed multiple times over the last 9 years, and figuring out what that looks like and how that looks in each season is different.
Okay, I'm obsessed with that because some of us move a lot. And in moving a lot, I have mentors that have like are a through line in that story. But also like there are people who don't know what I was doing 8 years ago. And so I think that like the benefit of having the same voice who's watched you shift, pivot, change, reprioritize, re-strategize is so intriguing to me. Like I was already obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with her a little bit more. And also, okay, just to set the record straight, you don't have 30 children. How many children do you have?
5.
Okay, thank you. I knew you had 5 children, but I just like we need to acknowledge that like you don't actually have 30 children. Like yes, you are incredible, but you do not actually have 30 children.
Yes.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can we talk a little bit about this is so not on my list of questions, but I think it's relevant. How have you trusted your mentor, your spouse, yourself in pivoting from full-time, part-time, back to full-time, primary, kind of out of home parent? How have those decisions, how have you been confident in your decision making in that process?
Oh, we have gotten a lot of counsel. We were not confident.
I appreciate your honesty as per usual.
Lots and lots of wisdom, thoughts, perspective provided from a variety of voices, personally, professionally, that have been so beneficial. And ultimately, it was just like, I love what I do. Again, have feels for the IRS, not positive. But I genuinely love being able to help clients unravel the mystery that is their tax situation and help them effectively plan for how do I use the tax code to benefit the situation I'm planning for.
Yeah.
how do I work together for my financial goals with my tax situation?
So obviously you were always a good student. I was there for that. Can vouch. Always a good student. I guess what I'm fixated on in this moment is I love what I do. That I told a team that I've led previously is like, what if you showed up to every meeting acting like everybody you were meeting with cared about their job and was as good at their job as you are at yours? And you are completely validating my general feelings about that because I couldn't barely pass accounting. Thank you for your help. I have no passion for what you do. I have passion for you, and I have passion for what I do. And I think like, how did you know it would, like, when did you know that's how you felt about your work?
Well, I didn't start in tax.
Yeah.
Started in audit. I was always very interested in accounting. I like the like black and white, like right, wrong answer of it. But I really, team I'm on really helped solidify my passion for staying in public accounting because I work in the for-profit healthcare space. I have a business partner who does the not-for-profit side of healthcare. So I work with physician groups, dentists, doctors, also vets, but that is what I do. And those people are amazing at what they do, but they know stereotypically very little about taxes and finance. They know so much about so many other things that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I appreciate being able to help. And I feel like it's crazy to say that that's what I love about my role, but I feel like I'm genuinely helping these people.
Well, I feel like it has to be more than just a competency thing, right? There has to be an element where, like, I believe that higher education is the most efficient tool for large-scale societal transformation. That's what I do. I don't, like, yes, I do fundraising, or I do alumni work, or I do whatever, but like, I do it because I think it matters. And like, I think similarly, what you do matters, and that doesn't in any way compromise your relationship. I can be really good at this and care about my people. Actually, she can have it all, maybe. Which is not the point.
But I have to choose. I mean, I have this that everyone else does. Yeah. And I have to prioritize and what are the really good things that I'm having to say no to that aren't getting on my plate.
Well, and I think I want to talk about that. So I asked somebody in an earlier conversation, like, how are you deciding the things you do and don't say yes to? And so I think a question I would ask you is, can you think of an example, and it can be any time over the last 13 years, doesn't have to be recent, but like, what is something good that you said no to, and what was your decision-making process around that?
Oh, there have been a lot of good things that I've had to say no to, just they haven't worked out for our family.
Yeah.
Whether it's the timing, whether it's it's primarily timing, I feel like, for most of the things I've said no to.
Yeah. Like time of day or how much time it was going to take.
I don't go overnight away anywhere until my kids are past a year, which for me has basically meant I have not done any overnight trips in the last, I mean, I have, but it's been like, that is a commitment that my husband and I decided, like, I do not want to, like, we do not want me to be going on overnight trips, if at all possible, for the first year of any child's life. Now, I will say my husband is the best cheerleader, and there was an opportunity, and he was like, we're going to get childcare for the other kids, and I'm going to go with you and stay in a hotel so that the newborn is not away from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, hi, shout out to supportive partners. And I think like one of the things I appreciate about that is like there's nuance to all of these things. Like there's a state, like we've kind of made this agreement, like, you know, just neurotic parent things for me, like we gave Evelyn a bath every night. Like this is how you know it's bedtime. Like she was not a good sleeper until she could run. And so like this was the signal that like this was real sleep time. So
Are
like I
there
was
really
home.
people who have good sleepers?
I didn't.
I don't personally know that.
The baby, they're gonna sleep the whole time. Lies, trickery, and deceit, first of all.
Yeah.
And so like I like, you know, what is the compromise there? It was that I was home by 7 for the first year and a half of this child's life. For mine, it was 1 year and a half, not 30 children's year and a half. But like there are these standards that you set, and like just shout out to the partners who also say this is important and we're going to prioritize that too. I appreciate 100% of that illustration. I think one of the things that's important to me is we all know a lot, and the more we talk about what we know, the more we all know. And I think the ability to put like real human reality conversation examples is just actually super needed.
Well, and I
So,
don't think that that's like a standard that every family needs.
right.
And I think that I think a lot the problem in mentorship is I think people feel somewhat rejected and somewhat responsible to do the prescription that's described. And that's not what's being asked, and that's not what's being suggested. Every partnership, every relationship is unique. Every child is unique. Every professional job is unique. And you have to hear and then break it down, and how do I apply this in my situation?
Yes. The end, actually. That's actually all. And I think there is. I think I would add that to another fear of a mentor is, am I going to have to tell this person no? Am I going to have to disagree with this person? And like, I think
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Because
like,
I don't think it's, I have never, in any of my mentoring relationships, I've never felt like Sarah came and was like, okay, Jill, here's the checklist. And next time we get together, I want you to do this. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. That would not be a successful mentoring relationship.
No, that's not, I would argue it's not. Like, I don't know what that is, but it's not mentorship. And so if
No.
that is your context of mentorship, I'd like to tell you that was probably unhealthy. And if it is your fear of a mentorship, please hear Jill and I both say, my life has been made better by countless people who have shown up for me, given advice. But the nice thing about people who are often wiser than you is they actually have no expectation for you to be like, can you tell me exactly how to do this? And they like, honestly, I've kind of headed into that conversation with like, what would, that's a dangerous setup because I'm not you. And like, even hearing mentors say, like, here's why I can't tell you what to do. And like, so I think that is a marker for I haven't been in a situation where that was B, even if I tried to put someone in that position, they've been wise enough to say, no, I can't, I'm not going to do that. And if you've had a mentor that was like that,
probably not a mentor.
Probably not a mentor. Like I'm like really skirting around being like, that was a bad situation. But like, homie, that sounds like it was a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example from Geneva College of somebody who, whether formally or informally, was a helpful mentor in your collegiate experience.
Well, immature Jill had a lot to learn from a lot of people.
That's weird because immature Bethany was so great.
I can't, like, there are so many things I learned from so many different people. I think of like you and your like just bubbly personality, but also willingness to, living at home wasn't always the ideal for you, and commuting was not like your dream come true, if I'm recalling correctly.
You are recalling correctly.
But like, you did it. You did the hard thing. You kept going. You kept putting one foot in front of the other. And that was teaching a lesson to me. You know, I had several roommates who were amazing. And it was always like interesting figuring out the cadence of how often people are going to be allowed in our space, and are we going to have boundaries around that, and okay, what are we doing with that, and just learning how to interact with people from different families of origin, with different expectations and different thought processes around how hospitality, how personal space works. I mean, college is just, higher education in general is just like the weirdest experiment ever, but also so needed. Like, I just, of our time in the admissions office, like I learned so much from all of those young admissions officers who are being like surviving on a dime and motivating all these student workers and like giving to us.
Recruit students.
Yes. Like the amount of information and responsibility we had is crazy, but also like we did a great job at that.
I love that you brought it up because Patrick and I were actually talking about it this week. And like, I will shout out Brian Stephanie. I will shout out Dave Layton. Like, as a really, outside of working for my family, my first real professional context taught me so much more than I thought it was going to. So just gonna acknowledge that.
Yes. Well, and like even we had some not ideal situations in that job as well. And I remember like so much tact in dancing around more difficult people in that role, and like how we still accomplished the goal. But those were like important lessons for 20-year-old Jill to learn.
Yeah.
And then I think of like Denise Murphy Gerber.
Oh, she's on my list.
Oh, Denise Murphy Gerber. I mean, I think of Amy, our accounting professor, and now I can't think of her last name because she's gotten married and now it's not Resson. Or is it Resson now? I don't remember what her, but she was such a great cheerleader and like so helpful, like when I didn't understand concepts, and just wonder. I mean, I felt like all of the professors were just wonderful. Then I was cleaning out a box as one does from, childhood home, and my parents have like been trying to de-junk. Lovely. And I found Alyssa Rausch, I think was her last name. Yep. So she and I took a class from the Dr. Stahl taught together. And we, on all of our notes, instead of putting the date, we put Dr. Stahl wore this today. Truck. I found this notebook that has like what Dr. Stahl wore every day. But like, just like,
I love it.
That was not a class that Alyssa or I enjoyed. That is not, I mean, that's my recollection. But we worked to make it fun, and that impacted me. Like that class, I don't have bad memories of sitting through that.
Yep.
This is like a super blast from the past, but in chemistry, why
were you taking a chemistry class at Geneva College? What are you talking about?
Because I didn't want to I wanted to get the sciences over in as little amount of time as possible. So I took lab sciences so that I had to take fewer sciences.
All right, that explains the fundamental premise and difference between how Jill and I approach our collegiate adventure. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So anyway,
go ahead.
A young gentleman who was also taking the class. So that Dr. McMahon was doing lab partners by your last name. And so I had signed up for the class with a friend, and he went to Dr. McMahon and was like, well, I'm really hoping our last names are closer together in the alphabet someday. If you could like make us lab partners.
Did he?
So that's how Luke and I became lab partners.
I love that. Okay, but now I have to tell you can I tell you my story now?
Please. But anyway, like Luke, I was so mad at him. And, like, you remember that relationship in college. Like, never a romantic relationship, but absolutely love him. I was like, I asked you to see if we could be lab partners. I was not thinking you were trying to like tell him we were together.
Yeah, but do you have a lab partner now? And was he a good lab partner? Did he show up? Did he do his part?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Crisis.
Now, 16 years later, it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. And you have good grades and also had a good lab partner. So I just feel like maybe that's relevant. My less relevant story is that I got married in college. And for my like capstone marketing course, we had to pick our like companies we were going to do these like huge capstone projects. And we picked them by our last name.
Mm-hmm.
And you may recall that I did not keep my last name, and my last name is not hyphenated. Because my dad said he wouldn't marry me if I kept my last name. And so I am Bethany Hardwig. But my professor wrote that I was Bethany O'Neill Hardwig, and we went in normative alphabetical order, and I got stuck with Lowe's as my company because it was O instead of H. And I have never been more full of rage in my life than when my not real last name ruined my dream capstone project for my senior year of college. That's actually the first time in a million years that's been thought out.
Mm-hmm.
But you won on the last name game, or bringing your last names closer together. I did bring my last name closer together and still got screwed. So
there you go.
I don't love that for me, but I love it for you.
Oh.
Amazing.
And as it turns out, my last name is now further away from his last name. But, we didn't have to follow back up and provide proof to Dr. McMahon. And I do think at some point in the semester, he realized we were not dating.
I should contact the registrar and change your grade. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Okay. I have two last questions, if you have time for two more questions.
Yes.
Okay, so what's one small thing you try to do for others that mirrors what your mentors have done for you?
Well, I think just the golden rule, like I try to do unto others as I want them to do unto me. And so while things have been given to me a certain way, or I've been able to do things a certain way, the world isn't static. I'm not hiring employees that I'm having the same expectations that were appropriately put on me 16 years ago. The world's not the same. So trying to be equitable and fair and empathetic and hear and as much as possible put myself in their shoes and react appropriately to the situations I'm presented.
I appreciate all of that and all the right words you used, like equitable and empathetic. I appreciate those things. Last question, because I think you've been in a long-standing mentoring relationship. So what makes mentorship sustainable instead of transactional? Like I feel like if you had gone into this with a transactional mindset, it wouldn't have lasted. And so what does make a relationship like this sustainable instead of transactional?
I almost think there are elements of both transactional and relational, like long-term relational, because when I've gone, my questions are almost transactional, but because I have implemented and valued the transactional information I've been given, that has propelled the relationship to continue on. Because on the other side, if I had heard what Sarah said 9 years ago and been like, oh, gee, thanks, moving right along. And then like 6 months later, 4 months later, whatever, oh, I have these questions for you, moving right along. Like, I think what puts the wheels in motion is I've demonstrated back to Sarah why I value her and the impact that she's made. When I see opportunities that she has directly impacted the way in which I see them or the way in which I manage them, I do try to send her a thank you note or an acknowledgement of some sort, at least on an annual basis.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that, like, there's room for both, but how you treat both functions really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing you said was insightful and profound and needed and relevant and real, and I mean that in its entirety. Sometimes you read like these anecdotes on LinkedIn, like someone said like, no, these are real people. We have to have like real conversations about how this really works, and that only works if people agree to do it. So I really appreciate you taking the time and showing me the view out your window, and
Yes.
It's really nice to see your face.
It is so good to see you, and congratulations on all the things you're doing, and keep on keeping on sharing the wisdom of how these things work and how they function beyond the four walls of institutional learning. It's really important for these things to continue outside of college. I think college provides a naturally nurturing environment for a lot of these relationships, and making sure they have the wheels to keep going post college is important.
It is, and I appreciate. We can talk about a lot of things. So thank you for that. Say a specific goodbye to Amy and Casey because we love them.
Yes, we do.
Hey, hope you have a great day. Hug your babies for me. Tell your husband I said hi.
Will do. You as well. Bye.
Bye.